Hello and welcome to Basement Fodder, the only show recorded in our basement. I'm Todd.
I'm Dave.
And we are doing our heavily hyped, not heavily hyped, hyped a little.
Semi-hyped. Meaningfully hyped.
Indie Comics Blowout episode.
Yeah.
Of course, you guys know that we're deeply entrenched in the world of indie comics. A good portion of our friends are creators, whether it be writers or artists or publishers. You know, we run the full gamut on that one. Some all three.
Yep.
But we thought we'd take a chance to, get a little bit back to the roots of why we started doing this in some respects and talk a little bit about, not a little bit, we're actually going to just devote most of the show to that, but talk about indie comics, which is something that's close to both of our hearts. I want to preface this by saying that we will be reviewing books. There will be criticism.
Yeah.
We have no credibility if we don't say exactly what we feel about a book. You guys have listened to our reviews before. Those creators that we're talking about today, especially Russell, because we've reviewed quite a few of his books, knows that we don't pull punches and we don't, sugarcoat as much as possible. We love our friends, but we also know that they need honesty as well. What do you think?
So if you get all pissy,
please don't get
about the
butthurt.
stuff we're saying, I'm sorry, but I'm be real.
I don't want this to sound like we have nothing but negative things to say, because that's not true.
I just feel like, because we haven't done this in a while, that we kind of need to, kind of reiterate this whole thing of, hey, this is criticism. Now, we do have our standard of, if we can't find anything good about your book, we just don't talk about it. We won't review it and stuff like that, because, again, if it was mainstream stuff, it's fine. They can take criticism, and it doesn't hurt them in any way or shape or form. Indie comics, not the people, but necessarily the community and stuff like that, are very, one bad thing can be said about a small business and no one will ever go there. And it's
and we would never want to take any sales away from anyone, and we would never want to, damage anybody's things that they're building. I can say that a Marvel or a DC book is a fucking turd, and it won't make any difference on a sale for that turd.
No, God, no.
But if I, say that an independent creator's book is the drizzling shits, then our opinion may hold some level of weight. Yeah. Not to say that we're like the be-all, end-all comics authority of the indies or something, but we have a pretty decent, reputation, and we've reviewed a lot of books and been included in a lot of books, and, I wrote the foreword for several books. One of them for one of the writers that we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah.
So this is not, we're not new to reviewing books. So, with all that said, we've got books from several different wonderful creators that we are lucky enough to be friends of and big fans of, too. We've got 3 books from Russell Lissau. Of course, you guys remember Russell from Old Wounds, which is by far one of my top 5 comics ever, maybe my favorite graphic novel ever. Dave and I both fell in love with it, and this is kind of, I don't know, there's just something about it. I wrote the foreword for that graphic novel. It was amazing.
Yeah, both visually and story-wise, there's something amazing about that one that we loved.
We're going to be talking about Adam Field's Prowl book, which Adam is a great guy. We met him through the conventions. He does a lot of cons in our local scene. He's absolutely amazing guy. Yeah. Could not ask for a better guy to sit next to at a show, and a nicer guy in general.
Yeah, help us,
extremely
viciously
talented.
mock, Metzger.
Extremely talented artist.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about, this is actually unadvertised, but we're going to be talking about Bob Salley and Source Point Press's Shelter Division.
That's because I got this book and I fucking love this damn thing, so I want to talk about it. And I was pretty much and we're talking about Shelter Division. He's like, okay.
Well, and Bob knows this. I'm a huge fan of everything that he does. Yeah. I'm a huge Salvagers fan. Yeah, and I love Shelter Division as well. Mm-hmm. Bob pretty much can write anything, and I'll read it. Yeah. And then finally, we're going to main event with Plague Doctor from David Brown. David has been a huge supporter of the show, and always one of the first people to message me about something that we said or something that we did. Yeah. So David is a great guy. Plague Doctor, I actually backed on Kickstarter, so this is my Kickstarter edition of it. I can't wait to talk about it because I have a lot of great stuff to say. So I'm ready to go on this. If My illustrious partner is also ready. He seems to be picking up another comic.
Yeah.
I haven't read yet.
No, I haven't read it either. Okay. It's one we're going to talk about at the end. That one that is from a company that we are huge fans of that we're not going to review on this show, but we're going to talk about it. Possibly is going to be one that we're going to review in a show or two down the line. We didn't want to jam pack this one too heavily and stuff. Our spot on mini co-host Gigi is down here in the basement meowing. Gigi, oh Gigi. Gigi's the beautiful black lion kitty that we have.
He's our third chair.
Yeah, he's our third chair. He's always down here every time we're recording, just like, love me, meow,
meow, want to be besties.
Yeah.
He also really loves me when I come in from smoking. I don't know what it is about cigarettes, but that cat, I think if he could smoke, he would. Yeah. Because he really likes the smell and likes to lick my fingers and shit after I've been smoking.
And then, we have the other cat, Mike, who did something quite hilarious today.
He's a douchebag.
Todd's not super happy with him today.
I'm not, he's a dick.
Because he caused him to do something today. And he was just like, oh God,
why? We're not going to tell this fucking story on the air? Everybody's tuning in to hear about indie comics. You're going to tell this fucked up story.
No, I'm just going to tease it and then see how many people request to hear this story, because this story at the end of it has Todd cringing and just almost dry heaving.
So no one request,
mouth.
Please.
Oh, request it, please request it, and I will gladly tell this story. It'll be hilarious.
So the first one we're going to talk about is one of Russell's books called Busted. It's by Russell Lissau, writer Sean Richardson, and Josh Southall. You can find Russell at facebook.com/russell.lissau, and you can follow him on Twitter. And then Dave holds him like a big furry black baby over there. Black beauty, what are you doing? Anyway, the Kitty Meow Meow Hour is apparently happening right now. You can find Sean Richardson at wonderrealm.com, and you can find Josh Southall on Twitter at Josh Southall. So let's see. What can we say about Busted? Busted is very evocative of a lot of different science fiction. Well, more science fiction in the realm of action science fiction, I would say.
Like action-adventure kind of science fiction. It reminds me a lot of if you kind of mixed the whole thing, if you took the Han Solo Greedo scene from Star Wars, but then at the same time kind of mixed it with the Maverick scene in Maverick with Mel Gibson around the cards.
Yeah.
It's kind of that very much in the back of the bar, there's that illegal game of gambling going on, and in this one, it's different aliens, and then the one human that's there.
Yeah, the alien designs are interesting. I'm going to be completely honest, and I hate to offer a massive amount of criticism. I don't really care for the artwork in this book at all.
Yeah,
it's not not to say that it's bad artwork. It just doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
This one alien on the first page looks like the Grimace, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
The chick looks like an Andorian.
Yeah, she does. The female character looks like an Andorian. Yeah. There's one guy who's playing poker around the table who looks like a Cthulhu sort of monster.
I
just feel like the designs for the aliens are not very inspired.
I feel like they're an amalgamation and a collection of a lot of different things that we've seen.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he was trying
of sci-fi.
Yeah, if he was trying to tribute some things, or maybe I don't know any backstory behind what his thought process was. So it could be that he's just sort of that's what he was going for, was to be like every alien you've ever seen in a cheesy sci-fi movie or something like that. So if it's that, then you totally nailed it.
Yeah, got it. So.
But if not, no. It's not. It just doesn't appeal to me. It may appeal to other folks. It's not, like I said, it's not bad or anything. It just doesn't appeal to me. What can I say about the book itself? Russell knows, and everybody who's listened to this show, for a while knows that I'm a big fan of Russell's work. I find this to be a very small example of what he can do.
Yeah.
It's a very short comic. It's only about maybe 7 pages.
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
I think it's 10 or less is what I'm thinking, for sure.
Yeah.
The thing with it is it's very much...
It's about 10 pages.
Yeah. It's a scene. It's this
yes,
small... I feel like it could have been in a bigger story. It's a small thing that happens you know, in a set, you know, like I said, a scene in a movie.
It's like a little snippet of something, like what a lot of guys used to put out, like ashcan editions or like teaser books. Mm-hmm. That's what this sort of reminds me of. I don't know if that's Russell's intention or not, because the first part of the book is just the story itself with the artwork, and then the second part is actually looks like the script with some different like tweaks and revisions and whatnot. So like, I don't know. It feels incomplete because I think it was written incomplete. Like, it just seems like a little sort of a scene from an anthology or something, or like a story that belongs like in a big book of different sci-fi stories or something.
Yeah. And that if that was the case, then like, okay. It's just I think the one thing I was having issues with is like, I don't know. It's very much, I get dropped into this scene happening. Things go as they do, you know. The scene ends, and I'm wondering, okay, what's next? At the same time, what came before? Because it's like a context thing, as far as like, I don't know where I'm at in this. Like,
it's hard to connect with because of that for me.
So I would say that those would be my issues with that one.
So we don't have a lot to say about that one because it's a very, very short book.
Yeah.
But the next one is called Rubicon. Of course, Russell also wrote this one, but let's see if it has the rest of the credits inside here. I know that it says in the beginning that it's based on a song. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Inspired by the song Rubicon by Chris Mills. I'm not familiar with the song at all, and I thought about looking it up, but I hadn't got a chance to do that before we recorded. But if you're interested in looking it up, it's chrismillsmusic.com and bandcamp.com/chrismillsmusic. And we're back. Dave was trying to not so subtly tell me.
I was like trying to tell him to be like, hey, pause it, we'll listen to the song real quick and shit.
So we did, and it was a song, like, if you like Dave Matthews, you might be into it. It's not for me. But I can see now, though, listening to it, totally where the inspiration for the book comes from. So anyway, the book is called Rubicon. There's several different chapters in it. Russell did the story. The art in chapter 1 is Daniel Alexis St. Pierre.
This is by far my favorite art in the book.
Steve Wallace did I wonder if it's our buddy Steve Wallace did the letters for it. Because Russell and Steve worked together before, so it may well be.
It might be.
Well, if it is, awesome. Let's see, part 2, the art is from Marvin Mann, and Steve Wallace did the letters again. And then part 3.
I knew I loved those letters.
The art is from Sean Richardson, who worked on the other book,
on Busted.
Yep.
Yep.
Explain
it kind of makes sense. Feels like that.
Let me just say right off the bat, the artwork in chapter 1 is absolutely beautiful.
Gorgeous, love it.
I'm not familiar with Danielle, but
would you do a portrait of my comic book character?
Seriously, her shading
is so good.
And this is a black and white book, but the shading in it is just fucking amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
The line work is beautiful. It looks like somewhere between like a Disney and Don Bluth animation. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely beautiful. I love her facial structuring. I love
body composition.
Her body composition. Everything about her artwork is just absolutely.
You could see beautiful. She does really good with like face emotions.
Yeah, even her crowd scenes are amazing. Like, you've gained 2 fans. Yeah. Like, seriously.
Love your shit.
Well, I want to see more books by
commissioned. I'm talking about, like, seriously, can I commission you to do it?
I'm interested in looking her up after we're done.
Yeah.
Because
seeing what else she's got.
I'm telling you, I just could not be more in love with her artwork. The story is I think it's a beautiful story.
It is. It's
endless love. It's timeless love story.
But it's like love versus war.
Yes.
Like what the thing of, like, you know, in the age-old thing, can love conquer a war? You know, like hate type stuff.
If you remember, Russell did a book last year that we talked a little about, but we didn't go too far into detail. But he had sent it to me, and it wasn't one that really was our kind of thing, but it was a story about love and war as well.
Yeah.
And I loved his writing in that too. Yeah. And I think he has a knack for writing this kind of story.
Yeah.
For writing a story that is a love story, like, set against the background of destruction and war and stuff like that.
It's challenging love. It's not that, like, fairy-taled love of, like, you know, it all works out in the end and stuff. It's that real-life love.
Yes, that's a thing, too. Because, like, I really would like to see him explore that more.
Yeah.
Like, I think as much... And I think this is got some nice depth, but I think that, like, I know what Russell can do.
Yeah.
And I think that he could, if he, like, bit hard into this subject, he could write an amazing
This one is challenging because it's like you're telling one grand story over 3 smaller stories.
Yes.
And it's like, there's enough in each story to kind of, like, hook you. Mm-hmm. But it's like, you want more.
Yes.
You want more out of, like, A, the whole arcing subject, but B, each one of these little stories. I would like to see, you know, a little bit more. Or if there's more to the whole, like, you know, span of the love.
My favorite of the 3 chapters is probably chapter 1, and it's not just because of the artwork. I like the story. It's set against Caesar's Italy in 49 BC. Like, it's a beautiful story of these 2 lovers. Anaya, I think is how you would pronounce that.
Yeah.
And Marcus. And it's like the night before a big battle, and they're talking about, like, what the war would mean, and, like, does he support Caesar, and
and if it's worth it to him.
And it's worth it, and she, you know, he tells her, like, you know, if I die on the battlefield, when you grieve for me, write my name on this parchment and clutch it tight in your palm, and think of you and I together and of happier times, and I'll be there with you. I swear this. Like, it's a beautiful scene. It's written very well, and, like, the battle scene is staged beautifully.
Oh, yeah.
Again, Daniel, I have to give it up. Like, it's staged beautifully, and he does die, and, like, the way that it's... I don't know, the way that it plays so beautifully, and it
plays like a Greek tragedy kind of that
staged,
thing,
like, the panels are staged beautifully.
Yeah.
This is a thing, Russell has a great ability, like, I don't know how they hooked up or if he chose this or whatever, but, like, he has a great ability to pair himself well with a good artist.
Yeah.
With an artist that understands structure and paneling.
Yeah.
Because layouts are so important, and especially when you're not telling a story that has a lot of dialogue or a lot of room to grow.
Yeah.
Like, when you have these short stories like this, you need that sort of good panel to panel and good staging, and, like, work with the most, you know, get the most in there that you can get. And so it transitions, you know, into the next part of the story, which is set, I believe it's World War I.
In France.
Yeah. It's 1917, so yeah, World War I. And it looks like Mark and Annie.
This is very much, to me, very reminiscent of, like, those old war black and white, like, somewhat romanticized films. Like, you think about, like, you know, like Dr. Zhivago and, like, all kinds of crazy things like that, where it's, like, you know, the 2 young, idealistic, like, kids that want to, you know, the big world war is happening, and they want to help, and they want to, like, make things better, but their love, you know, but they're not going to be able to be necessarily together. Like, their choice to do this better thing is causing them to not be with each other.
Yeah, and their kind of thing that connects them together is a necklace that has their initials, and it's a heart that breaks in the middle. And, you know, it's hold this and I'll be there with you. This is kind of like, what's the reincarnation? Like, it's a reincarnated, like, love story over centuries.
Honestly, it's very, like, to translate it, it feels very much like Hawkman, Hawkgirl.
Yeah, it is kind of similar to that. Like, not in a superhero setting, but yes, very similar to that.
But, like, how their souls
like,
will always
I don't know if you've ever
other.
seen that movie that has Christopher Reeve and Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, Jane Seymour.
Yeah,
it's called Somewhere in Time, where it's like, she, like, goes to this hotel, and there's a painting that she stares at. No, he stares at. And he, like, staring at it, he goes back in time to, like, another era where she is there and, like, falls in love with her. He's, like, a man from the modern times, and she's, like, in the 1800s or something. It's an interesting story.
Yeah.
It's a weird movie. But this, like, there's this really great, the end, right in the middle of chapter 2, there's a scene where, like, they're having this picnic on the top of this mountain, and, you know, talking about how much in love they are. And then there's, like, this 3-panel sequence where they... you know, it's like, I love you with no words.
Yeah. It's the physical, like
it's
an
very
emotional.
Well
yeah, it's like I said, it's very reminiscent of those black and white romantic, time period movies.
And I actually like the heavy use of shading. Like this reminds me of like comic strip war.
Yeah,
like the old like war.
Never
comics
make it bright. Always
or
make
like
it
Prince
like,
Valiant, like that kind of artwork. That's kind of what it reminds me of. And of course, their story ends tragically as well.
Yeah,
and it transitions to the third story, and the third story is set like in 2248, like post-apocalyptic world, humans fighting aliens and creatures and stuff, and it's let's see,
they're basically
Murky and I think Anna.
Yeah,
and again, it's just that kind of like this is done by the same artist that does Busted, but I actually like this better than the art in Busted.
Yeah, this one's very much like Escape from LA, New York type of thing. As far as like you have that kind of like Mad Max post-apocalyptic survivor look to
with
it.
Aliens.
With aliens. It's an interesting one. This one's a lot less on the words and more on the visuals and stuff.
Because in all the other two stories, they're separate when they die.
Yeah. But
in this story, of course, they're spoilers. You guys know that already. But like, they die together in this one, and they get to say goodbye.
Yeah, like this is that kind of that one like where they're finally together. It happens to them together. Where in the other ones, they unfortunately died separately, and one had to mourn the other. This one is basically they finally get to do that Romeo and Juliet kind of die in each other's arms thing.
It's actually like, as much as I didn't really care for his art in Busted, I do love
that final splash page is really good. Yeah.
This final splash page in here is actually quite well done, and I think it would look great in color as well.
Yeah.
We obviously like this one a lot. There's a lot of good stuff to say about it.
Yeah.
And it's really cool, actually. They have the lyrics to the song on the back, which is actually really kind of cool.
Yeah. So you get to see that, you get to read it and really feel what that inspiration is. But I encourage you, if you like that style of music, listen to the song and you kind of get a little bit more.
Get the book and listen to the song, and I think that they are beneficial to have. Like, I feel it's beneficial to have listened to the song.
Yeah. We just listened to the song. Todd's ass.
It wouldn't be a basement Fodder.
He sang one of
us
song,
wasn't burping or shitting.
He sang the song of his people.
And this brings us to the last one of the books from Russell. This one's called Dinner at Dante's. Story by Russell, art by Mark Stegbauer. And
I love this art.
Yeah,
I love the art in this one.
Letters by Josh Southall. Yeah. I also love the art in this one. This is a very reminiscent of kind of almost like Nicktoons animation in some respect.
In a really good way. Like, the body structure, the face, very kind of over the top, but not too over the top. It was very fun. At some parts, kind of whimsical.
Yeah, I like the artwork quite a bit. Yeah. This is a very much. This is a heavy spoiler for this one. This is very much a deal with the devil kind of story.
Yeah,
but it doesn't necessarily present itself that way as obviously as some of those do.
No, this is kind of like one of those retelling of a story that kind of thing, and some of the names are familiar. That you'd be like, oh, okay, I know those names and I know this setting, but it's told in a very different way, actually.
It's got a Latin American kind of flavor to it.
Yep.
Because
Miami.
Dante, the main character, is a chef and owns a restaurant. He's does Latin American kind of cuisine.
Yep.
It is definitely set in somewhere that is a very sunny, beachy sort of place.
What his sous chef is named.
Oh, Fausto. Fausto. So obviously you can see that there's some, allusions to the Inferno and to Faust. And this is kind of to me, it's a love letter to these kind of stories.
Yeah.
I like Russell, and he's very clever, and the cleverness is definitely on point here. I can tell that he likes this kind of story, and that he wanted to kind of give his take on that kind of classic trope. which is a good thing. Like, you can tell a classic story and you can just retell a classic story.
Yeah.
You can give your take on something, or you can just tell the same fucking story. And I really dislike it when people tell the same fucking story. That's why I hate Avatar. Because I'm fucking serious. Avatar is damn near shot by shot Dances with Wolves, except for it's got blue fucking aliens and pasta bolognium or whatever the fuck it's called. Blue rabbits fucking. I've seen this movie and it was better when it had Kevin Costner and Native Americans in it.
Yeah. I do love Zoe Saldana and Stephen Lang.
Yeah, they're both cool actors. Don't give a fuck about them in that movie.
No, I'm just saying.
But no, this is a good version of telling a classic story and giving your sort of take on it.
Yeah.
I was looking at the back of the thing that tells a little bit about Mark, the artist, and it says that he's done work for Marvel, DC, Image, and smaller publishers, co-creator and artist of the all-ages action comic Ghoul Scouts.
That'd be interesting to check out.
You can find information about him at Mark Stegbauer on Twitter and Instagram, and in Facebook, facebook.com /Mark-Stegbauer-artist-of stuff. Or, just Google it.
Damn, Stegbauer, you like a dash, don't you?
Josh Southall, the letterer, you can check him out at joshsouthall.com and on Twitter at Josh Southall. I love this one. I especially love the little devil that's the last panel. He's fucking awesome
looking.
Love
that, finale, yeah.
This is a great marriage of story and artwork. It's a clever story. It's well written. It's Russell, so you really can't go wrong with writing-wise there. I love the artwork. The artwork works well for the story because this could be a much darker story, but because the artwork is a little bit lighter, it takes some of that darkness off.
It does, and it's the content, too, is it's a very, if you're reading it, and it's not one of those just straight up, I made a deal with the devil type things. It's very much there's a lot of wording. You definitely have to read the words and see how the pages play out, because it's very much of what happens when a good man wants something so bad, and it's a good thing, that it goes down a bad road.
And they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and that's kind of the moral of the story when it comes to Dante.
I feel like you took that phrase and you took old concepts and made a marriage of the two, and that's what happens. And it
makes a fun read. I enjoyed it. It's an enjoyable read. It's definitely something that I would recommend.
Yeah.
All right, so that's all of Russell's books. Thanks, Russell, for sending those out to me. Russell didn't even think about charging or anything like that. Just, hey, would you like to read these books? Absolutely, I would.
Yes, I would, Russell.
Never not enjoy reading a book that Russell wrote. So thank you again, Russell. I appreciate that, and great job, to all the artists and other folks that are working on that. Mm-hmm. We're going to go ahead and move on to Adam Field's book, Prowl. This is Prowl 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. Let me open it back up to that.
Because I was told specifically that these two needed to be read together. Because, from, well, I mean, not necessarily specifically, but, they're connected more so than just, regular issue to issue. These two are, tell the very beginning story, I guess.
So, of course, Adam is a local creator from Dayton, the Dayton area. We've spent a lot of time hanging out with him. You can check him out at his website. It's midnight and the number 27studios.com.
Should be 37, Adam.
In a row.
Yes.
Or facebook.com /Adam Fields Art. Or, of course, on Twitter at AdamFields127. The color flats for the book and the cover colors were done respectively by Sheena Marie Bofel, whose website is unintelligible, and DC Alonso, who has a very long website that I'm not going to read.
Website's better.
But I'm struggling to... I'm just going to go ahead and get the negative out of the way first.
Okay.
Because I'd rather end on a positive note.
Yeah.
So, I like both of these books. Let me just start off by saying that. I like the book. People speak with contractions.
This was your thing. This was the thing through the book.
And I only mention it because it took me out of the story, and that is not good for me.
Yeah.
I know Adam wrote this, and I don't know if you used an editor or not, or if you edited yourself or something like that. It's not like it's badly written or anything like that, because it's not. It's just... I do not say I do not, it's
grammar.
No one talks
it's
like that.
you know, that thing where you're like, when you're reading a self-narrated thing, and it's spoke in a way that you in your head would not speak, it's very jarring.
It's jarring. It's very jarring.
It's very much, it's hard to be like, okay, this is self-narrated when you're like, it feels like third-party self-narrated. Like,
it feels like dialogue instead of speaking.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing that I think a lot of writers can struggle with, especially, like, first-time writers.
Oh, dude, every time I've ever written anything, I've had to go back and be like, shit, I need to not, like, sound like Data from Star Trek.
Yeah, well, like, that's the thing. I think it's, like, a tempting thing, and even who I would consider some of my favorite writers and best writers are guilty of this sometimes, is by writing dialogue, not writing what someone would say.
Yeah.
Like, people speak normally. Like, they speak with contractions. They speak in a certain rhythm or flow. And, like, they don't talk, like, declaratively.
Yeah.
Like we were at Myers earlier, grocery shopping, and there's this Superman toy that they have out for the new Superman movie. And when you press the button on his back, he says, "I will hit that with my heat vision." First of all, no one would ever fucking say that.
Yeah.
Even Superman would not say that. Like,
no, yeah. Like, you know what Superman would have said that? The old black and white. Yeah. Like, you're talking like Adam West self, like, bam, smack, like that type of, because it was very, like, verbally visual stuff.
I was thinking it reminds me of, like, the like, old, you know, first talking movies and shit.
Oh, yeah.
Or, like, stage when everybody's, like, really declarative and really concise.
Or, like, the old radio programs.
Yeah.
Like, the ones where it was, like, sci-fi.
I will go in this door now.
Yeah, the, like sci-fi fantasy radio program. And that's
the kind of, like, when I read dialogue like that, that's the voice reading it in my head. Is, like, the guy who introduces the vaudevillains.
Yeah,
like, I will go down the street and I will be eating a taco. Yeah. Like, it's, you know what I'm saying? So, like, yeah, I hate to, and this is a struggle for us because these guys are our friends.
Yeah.
Like, and it's hard to criticize work that, you know, you did by somebody you really like, and you're friends with. And you're like, God, am I going to, like, you know, am I going to be honest about this? And then they tell me to go fuck myself the next time we're at a show. And I don't think that that's going to happen.
No.
But it is a fear.
But if it does, just know that I will sack tap the shit out of you. I'll be like,
Adam, we do love you. No, seriously, though. Like, I just think it could have benefited from a little editing or a little, like, more use of contractions. Because I swear, I'm positive there's not a contraction until halfway through the second book.
Yeah, you were like...
And that's only because it's so noticeable for me that I tracked it. Like, but it kind of, like, took me out of the story. The only other criticism I really have about it is that, like, everybody is bad in this book except for, like, the main character and his parents.
Yeah, that was the one thing that kind of when I was reading it, I was noticing that I was kind of having, like, a thing with is, like, other than dad, mom, main character, whose son, and, like, possibly the way they talked about grandfather, everyone else except for one other character who's treated with, like, a sense of neutrality is, like, treated as if, like, it's almost like that thing where you get, like, those old fanatical priests that are like, everyone's sinning, they're all full of the sin, you know, like, you know, the very, like, doom and gloom priests where it's like, you're all going to hell, we're all going to hell, the you know, the badness has corrupted everybody type thing. And it kind of felt like that way, like, or at least not necessarily sometimes to that degree, but there was, like, always that benign level of, like, non-caring and not treating others with respect in a basic sense. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna shit on you because we can.
And it's not as it's bad though. I need more information about it. Like, I need to know, like, is it because, like, this is just how he views people? It's or if it's because, like, this place is just so fucking corrupt.
Yeah.
That they really are just a town full of awful, awful people.
And I feel, and he touches on that. And, like, he touches on it because it's, like, one of those things where the main character talks about how he feels like what happened to this town, everybody used to be decent people, but now everybody's corrupted. But then
again, I wonder, though, again, if that's his vision of people or if they really are corrupt.
And that's what his mom brings up. Like, when he talks to his mom, she's like, okay, but you just suffered this loss. Now, is is it your vision, your perspective skewed because of this thing and how quick people were to just completely move on from this loss and not necessarily, view this person the way that you viewed them and all the glory that they were. And it's one of those that the views, the two different views of them are very like black and white, very stark as far as that was probably mine. Wow. Very much like he views it in the black. She says, it could be the white. You're just viewing it in a certain way. And it's one of those, I think it's going to have to play out. Yeah. It's the beginning, so it's very hard to kind of like see that.
Yeah, I'm giving it an allowance because like I know the third issue is out and we haven't got to see that yet. Yeah. And like I know from talking to Adam that like the 3 issues are very closely a story.
Yeah.
And so like I'm wondering, are the things that I'm missing in issue 3?
Yeah. That's possible.
Along with more contractions, I hope.
Adam's gonna be like, "I got your contraction,
your freaking contractions right here, you fat bitch." But I want to say, though, like positively, Adam has beautiful artwork.
Yeah,
he's very talented. He's extremely talented.
Yep.
I would say though, like he would benefit from a tighter colorist.
Oh yeah,
I think.
Okay.
Like, the color is not bad on the books whatsoever, and like there's some great inking and shade work and stuff done, but I think it's just a little washed out. Like,
oh yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
And that may be an aesthetic choice. Maybe it's just like not a choice I would have made.
Yeah,
but like it's a very dynamic character, but the color is a bit washed out for me. Yeah. And I don't know if it's like something happened in the printing process with that, or like if it's just like his color palette is different than mine. Yeah. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that
going for that because of the kid's view on the world.
It could be. It could totally be that, and like I don't know. Like just to me though, like like there's some really great stuff though. There's some really great splash pages. Adam really understands how to fucking draw a werewolf, which is really rare.
Yeah, and you know what? And he knows how to draw a werewolf, and he draws this one really well, but also chose to do different things, which I like. Mm-hmm. And I talked to him about this, and it was the concept for this is interesting because it's one of those, it's not necessarily just, okay, I'm the beast and stuff like that. It's this kid finding this and using it, trying to be like, because it's not, and you find out he's not necessarily cursed.
No, he's not a lycanthrope.
No, he's not. It's
an amulet.
Yeah, it's a thing that allows him to become that. So he's trying to use this to fix the wrongs that he sees.
Yeah,
and because of that gave Adam a lot of freedom to do the werewolf differently. Like, werewolves normally have the yellow eyes, and, the color choices are usually different. And he chose to go with him having the blue eyes, like the very much like human eyes, color-wise. And then his wolf is... It's one of those things is like, you get to become a werewolf. So I don't feel that as that you need to have these crazy colors, because we've seen some werewolves that are some, all white, all black, like just crazy mixtures of colors and stuff. And I'm like, that works for them when there's a bunch of them, and you need to differentiate and stuff like that. And they're cursed with it, so it's very much like my skin color is different from your skin color type of thing. But this was one of those like, it's an amulet. You're blessed with this ability, so it's not like wholeheartedly you need to be like some crazy looking, like you are a standard like brown furred werewolf.
I think it's just it may just be for me because we've hung around Adam enough, and I've watched him do a lot of black and white work, and I've seen his like flats and his pencils and his inks.
Yeah,
and they're really fucking amazingly dynamic.
Yeah,
when he does them. And I think that, like, some of the color takes away from how dynamic his black and whites are.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I fully agree. Like, his black and whites are freaking amazing. Like, I remember he showed me some of his black and whites
up against a lot of other artists that I'm really big in.
Yeah.
Like, he really does have a firm understanding of shading and a firm understanding of color balance and negative space.
Especially considering you're using pretty much primarily like 3 different colors, black, white, and a little bit of like gray shading.
Right.
That people are either A, really good at it, or B, not that great at it.
Like, there are a few people who's like, I would want their just pencil and inks. Like, and Adam is one of those people.
Oh, yeah. He showed me a couple, pencils and inks for the Prowl, and I was like, can I get that?
Yeah, there are a few people that I would buy, like, like some artists, they sell their unfinished, like, original pages.
Yeah.
I would consider that for him. Like,
there's actually a few pictures in those 2 issues that I would be like, can I get the black and whites for those?
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I like about his artwork. So I think that, like, maybe a different colorist or, like, a different color palette, something. I don't know. There's something there that I can't put my finger on.
Yeah. That's understandable.
But overall, I think these are 2 great books. I know that locally, if you're in the Dayton area, you can get them at Jim and Dan's Comic Shop, and you can get them, I think, at Bell Book and Comic, too. And they both advertise in there, too. So, yeah, I would definitely check those out. And
it's an interesting story, too, because, I've noticed, like, when you get to the second one, you notice consequence.
Yeah.
Consequence for his actions. And it's interesting.
Yes.
And I want to see where that goes. So I definitely want to get 3 and the rest of them and stuff. Oh, did somebody stink bomb themselves out?
Oh, God, we don't have to point out every time I fart. We'll never talk about anything else.
Well, you literally are, like, gagging, right?
I am. It's awful. I'm sorry. Man, you guys, none of these creators are going to share this out. Like, well, this guys review our comic, but they also, like, constantly shit the britches. Like,
I didn't even realize I got this in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I got other stuff with mine. I can't remember what, though.
Yeah. I mean, I got stuff, too. That was just in the book thing.
The next one, of course, we're going to talk about is Shelter Division. I hate to... Okay, it's hard for me to talk about Bob's stuff sometimes because I gush a little bit too hard.
You do.
It's like talking about Dirk's books for me. Or talking about Mike's stuff. Like, I gush too hard. But Bob wrote it. Bob Salley, the amazing Bob Salley. Art by Francesco Tomaselli, who's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And letters by HD. You can check it out on SourcePointPress.com. Our wonderful friends in the Michiganders. Editor-in-Chief Travis McIntyre and art director Josh Warner. Of course, you can find SourcePoint at Store Envy for their web store. It's SourcePointPress.StoreEnvy.com, Facebook.com/SourcePointPress, Twitter.com/SourcePointPress, and Instagram at SourcePointPress. I never had to fucking say that many times.
No, Jesus.
I will let you take the lead on this one because this is a book that was written for you.
Yeah, this one was okay. So Salvagers is yours.
Yes,
you love Salvagers. I love character concepts in Salvagers, and there are things in Salvagers I like. But as a whole, this is me. I love Shelter Division. What can I say? It really touches me in that area where, you have like your Hellboys, your BPRDs, that like supernatural and like extraterrestrial. There was another one that was done. I can't ever say it right. What was it, the Paraphonauts or whatever? It was done by Image. It's stuff like that. That grouping of things where it's like there's supernatural creatures choosing to fight for humanity. Even though they are basically, for all intents and purposes, shunned and hidden away by their own choice or by our government. And this one's interesting because one of the main guys is actually a human. Usually in these situations, like a Hellboy, or in the other ones, the main is usually taken up by one of the paranormal creatures.
Yeah.
But this guy isn't just necessarily just specifically all human. He's had things that is incorporated. He has like the one metal arm stuff, whether it be robotic or something else. I'd love to see more of it. Mm-hmm. But it's very... he kind of gives me that Bruce Willis feel. Like, a little look and a little, like, attitude-wise. He very much has that, like, get shit done kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like, take charge, gotta do it and stuff. I'm trying to remember his name. I think he's Bigfoot's son in the book. And they're chasing down anything from supernatural to extraterrestrial. So it's not just, straight like, oh, monsters, they're aliens, technology, all kinds of crazy shit. It's interesting. I love the artwork, like the inner pages on that and stuff. It's like, those like chalk rubs, like the charcoal rubs. It has that feel to it in the artwork, like with the colors. Like, I've never seen too many people that have done color rubs almost.
Yeah,
like it has that.
It's so unique. The color is so unique on it. The artwork itself is absolutely beautiful. I was not really super familiar with Franco before this, but I can't get enough of it. Yeah. Like, this looks like it was tailor-made to be like a animated series.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like, this could easily translate artwork and all to this, like, amazing animated series. Like, Sci-Fi Channel, what the fuck are you doing? Why aren't you making this right fucking now?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Cartoon Network or something like that. Like, this seriously. And it's not because it's cartoony. It really isn't cartoony at all. It's just, it looks like that prestige animation. It looks like that fucking amazing, like, Aeon Flux or something. Like, it doesn't look like Aeon Flux, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, that
that like crisp animation. Lines where it's like dynamic lines and like movement of the cartoons. I love the design they did for Bigfoot's son, I believe.
Yeah,
is what it
Biggs.
is. Yeah, Biggs. Because usually in those things, it's like so big that they minimal clothes, very much like, out in the open, like, oh, look, I'm just a big, hairy, muscle-bound guy. And, he is big, he is hairy, he's got the muscles. But, like, they've given him a sense of, like, something to hide within. Like, his costume has the hood, he has the sleeveless thing, so you see the muscles. But he also still has something that kind of... Think boxer. In those classic films where you're watching a boxer where he's kind of just gotten done. He's in the sleeveless hoodie with the hood up, kind of just in that mode. And that's very much kind of, I feel like, what they've done with him. He's very much that like bruiser character. Yeah. And I love the concept for him. I love that his jacket has the missing, sleeve, and you really do show off the arm. Because usually in something like that, you look at like iRobot with Will Smith. Shit, you didn't know he had that fucking arm until there was
that was irritating as hell. Why give him a robot arm and not fucking show that he has a robot arm?
Like, it's easier that way. Like, Will Smith has this one arm of doom and shit. And like, no, I feel like if you're gonna do that, it's very reminiscent of Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
it is that like it's that dynamic. If that's the thing, he has it. You see it. He's not necessarily gonna constantly like hide it. And I liked that they did that. But other than that, he's still just a guy, like a cop. And I don't know, it was beautiful. I love there's enough there that pulls you into it, but at the same time, you kind of want to be like, okay, what's going on? I still feel like,
absolutely.
So,
and it's not, I mean, like, it kind of just started out as a webcomic, and it was kind of like, hey, let's just do a little Kickstarter and print one issue. And I really, really hope it turns into an ongoing.
I really want more of it.
There needs to be more. Like, I need more of this story.
Because if this comes into a full series, Bob, I will literally be, like, hounding you to buy every issue. Like, bitch, give me issue 2, I need it.
Damn it, Bob, where's all these comics?
Yeah. And I love it, too, because, like, if you look at it, like, there is a dynamic sense of action in here, of like panel to panel stuff, but like he's not having to overuse words in it, which is nice. Because sometimes in action things, there's like this over dialogue or over narration. Even here, like I'm looking at a full complete page, I'm seeing 2 boxes for narration. All that rest of it is just pure action panel.
Yeah,
and absolutely. I love that, especially considering that's what this is right now.
Yeah. I can't say enough about it. Like, it's excellent. I mean, like I said, everything that Bob has done, I've been a huge fan of. It is not in the world of salvagers, but it's the same aesthetic to me, like, of quality writing and interesting story and characters that are memorable. Like, that is what Bob does. Bob does team books interestingly when well. He does memorable characters very well. Like, that is definitely a strength for Bob. Like, he creates fully realized characters.
He does.
And that's the thing that Watson is great at, too. Like, and those are, writers that I really, really love. Like, guys that understand that I want to read a character that fucking has some meat behind it. Oh, shit, issue 2? What? Yep. Is this happening?
There is an issue 2. I didn't even actually see that. And then there's also this. This is one of the beautiful things that I love that he did, and I love
the dossiers in the middle.
Yeah, the dossier with like character profiles, and it's beautiful because it doesn't take you out of the story.
No,
it's
seamlessly incorporated, which is awesome.
Yeah, so I am excited for that. I definitely want issue 2, which I see is supposed to happen.
Tell me when, Bob.
Tell me when.
Write me out.
Right
now, Bob Salley. So I would definitely recommend, if you guys haven't got a hold of Shelter Division, please do so. I don't know. I'd have to look at the website, but I don't know if they're selling it individually after the Kickstarter. I would hope so.
I'm hoping so too, yeah.
But it's amazing. Don't pass it up. Anything from Bob is great. If you've never read Salvagers, please God, read that too.
Yeah.
If you like fucking anything, like if you like Star Wars and you haven't read Salvagers, you have a serious issue. Like Star Wars Serenity, Firefly, if you like Firefly, any of that shit,
stuff,
like
that like Outcast,
yeah,
space adventure group.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more on that one. But yeah, definitely a great book. I enjoyed it very much. I really don't have I really don't have anything negative to say about it other than like there's not enough.
Yeah. The second issue is in my hand, Bob Thally, damn it.
Extremely negative.
Yeah,
the only
bastard.
Negative thing I must have to say at this point.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, it's just it's tricky, like I said, to say bad things about somebody who you really love their work. There's really nothing bad to say though. It's not like I'm holding back. I just don't have anything bad to say.
Yep.
And then we come to the main event of the evening.
Yeah.
I think this is the most comics we've ever reviewed in one episode.
Probably.
Yeah. This is from 5th Dimension Comics, Plague Doctor by David Brown and Dennis Coyle III. I'm going to gush a little on this book. Those of you guys know, I've reviewed a lot of Dave stuff. I'm a huge David Brown fan. There is nothing that David has written that I've not been in love with.
I think this is the first David Brown thing.
This may be the first thing you've read, because I don't know if you've read any of the other books, because I reviewed the rest of them.
Yeah, what was the other ones?
I don't have them in front of me right now, so don't hold me. We just read 14 comics,
yeah,
all right?
You're like, God damn it, I can't remember that shit.
Obscura is probably my favorite.
Yeah, okay, I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah. And then he also did, God damn it, the Hatchet Man story. Fuck, I can't remember. It was a crime story. I can't remember the name.
Yeah,
I'm terrible with names. I remember
you telling me about that one. You said you really enjoyed it.
Love it. Absolutely fucking loved it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, David.
One?
Yes.
That was the one where it was like the old like Salmon Twitch style 70s, but he was like the Hatchet detective.
I'm sorry, I can't remember the name right now.
I made him read a bunch of shit. It's my fault.
You made me read a bunch of shit right in a row.
Yeah.
This is very reminiscent of a Neil Gaiman book to me. Artwork wise.
So to me this feels like
or a Mignola book.
Yeah, well, okay, so I like to say is like it feels like Gaiman, Mignola, but it also has that Guillermo kind of feel to it, like in that macabre kind of way. Yeah, I love that freaking concept. That
the adversary. Okay, so I don't even have to like explain a little bit of the story of this. Like, if those of you who don't know what a plague doctor was, this is a person like in the time of the Black Plague.
Those were the guys that wore the big beaked masks.
They wore the big long beaked masks that would go around and try to theoretically help people with the plague, but there was no help. It was more like con men. And there was
and that's what they talk about. Like there may have been a few that actually wanted to help, but a lot of them were like swindlers and like would basically cheat people out of their last of their money right before they died. But like at this time too, medicine was very like archaic, and they thought a lot of the ways to alleviate the Black Plague was like through bloodletting and other different very archaic things that were proven to never actually work. So there was a lot of them causing more death than actually.
Yeah, it was that thing like there was a great meme I saw the other day. Boy, I'd like to have been a doctor in the 1800s. Boy, you look poorly. Here's some cocaine. Like call me in a day or two.
It was either like cut you, bleed you, pump you full of like what we now consider very hard narcotics.
Yeah, like opium and cocaine and shit.
Like yeah, it was very like stuff that just it was bad. It was very much like, oh, what are we doing?
The cat is trying to break shit, and that's not cool.
It's trying, but it's not gonna happen.
Trying, hopefully failing.
Yeah. I swear to God, one more cat knocks over some shit.
We're gonna be cat free of this motherfucker.
I'm gonna start bringing that squirt gun out, and I'm gonna power hose you motherfuckers to the ground.
And put your damn litter box outside.
Yep, that's right. Good.
But I don't know. There's just something about like the story's incredibly atmospheric. I hate to like gush over artwork constantly because a lot of these, the people that we're friends with are writers here, but the artwork is fucking amazing in this book.
And
it's painting. It's like painting in a fucking studio quality, beautiful. Like,
and this is one thing I've always said, and it's like for me especially, it's very true that like one, there has to be a good marriage of story and artwork, but to me, you have to be very observant of your artwork because it's telling just as much of your story. And it's like sometimes that's not always the case, but when it's beautiful, when like this, it you can have just pure panels with nothing in it, and you don't lose a fucking second of the story going.
That's actually accurate. I swear, like, this is a story, like, this is no knock to David because his story is brilliant, but this is artwork that could stand without a story.
Yeah.
Like, the artwork could be the story.
Yeah.
And that is something that, like, is very rare to be able to say, in my opinion. Like, that's, I don't know, that's a level of difficult to fucking say for me. Because I don't generally dig on books that are just artwork.
Yeah. And then you get the story, and the story in this one is very interesting. It's very much like, I don't know, to me, it's the dark levels of compassion.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was kind of, it's something that has been touched on. I think the only other thing I've really seen touched on it in comics that was like a more mainstream was the Indigo lanterns in Green Lanterns, where it was like, oh, they're compassion, and then people had this misconception of what compassion meant.
Yeah.
And they were like, nah, your soft version of compassion is not what we're talking about.
The Magician, for fuck's sake, I finally remembered it.
Oh, yeah, that one. Okay.
Oh, God. And then he also did Modern Animals as well.
Oh, nice.
I don't know why that was driving me fucking insane. Like, I was just
like, I needed
you're
to
talking,
know.
I'm racking my fucking brain.
Yeah.
What is it?
But it is. It's very interesting because the main character is one of those genuine doctors who wanted to help people, who really wanted to try and,
but not just that.
But not just that.
And what David calls the adversary in this story, the I don't know, like, how much there was input wise between artist and writer, but, like,
it's death. It's
absolutely magnificent.
It's that one of those things where it's another name and another perception of death.
Like, his first appearance, the splash page for this,
is awesome.
I just can't describe how much I'm in love with it. Like, I want it to be a giant framed painting on my wall.
Oh yeah, I would definitely get that.
And, like, the design, everything is just so beautiful. And David's story is so in depth and so lyrical almost. Like, David has this ability to write stories that play like a song in my head. Like,
that or like old school poetry.
Yes. Oh God.
Like old school poetic, like
it's
Poe,
like almost prose. Like, it's
know.
like it is that kind of thing. It's like reading Poe or reading, like, Lord Byron or something, or like something that's just, it has a lyrical quality to it, and it has, like, it sticks in your mind, and you can feel it, like, that your brain will narrate it as you read it, like, in that kind of deep sort of, like, booming, melodical voice. Like, I don't know, David's stuff is just, it's easy, like, you know how they say, like, it's easy on the eyes, it's easy on the brain. Like, reading his...
It flows. It has a flow to it that
does.
doesn't cause, like, your brain to kind of jar.
And it sticks with you. Like, it's like, they talk about food that sticks to your ribs. Like, David's stories are like stories that stick to your mind. Like, barbecue ribs stick to your belly. Like, I know that I'm not doing this shit justice, but like, and then there's just like, there's this amazing combination of both, like, beautiful and horrific imagery.
Yeah.
Like, there's a scene where the main character, Nils, is with his mother as she's dying, and hey, boobs, which is always fun.
It's very okay.
I have to show my immaturity.
The book is very graphic. There are some, like, very. It's an adult, an adult book.
There's this moment where it's like this poor, his mother is dying and sick, and, like, there she is, and then all of a sudden she's this horrific image of evil that is just destructive.
Now, this may be a good thing. This may be a bad thing. It kind of just depends on person to person.
Yeah.
But the story kind of plays fluidly between if what you're seeing is a figment of the mind,
yes,
or if it's really happening.
Yes.
It's that, like...
It's surreal.
Yeah, it's very much like, under so much stress, are you seeing the demons, or are you seeing the demons that your mind projects on stuff?
I could definitely see that.
It can be a little disconcerting to people, because they don't... I mean, even by the end of it, you're still very unsure.
It's a story about death. It's a story about, like... do you have an obligation to follow in the footsteps of your father?
Yeah.
It's a story about loss, and it's a story about, like, the horror of plague. Like, there's just so much there. Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, is what you're doing, would you really consider that compassion?
Yes.
Like, where's that line between wanting to help people and then helping people?
Yes.
Kind of,
Because in so many cultures, death is vilified, or the figure of death is vilified. But in this is David's sort of, at least in my opinion, way of saying, like, you vilify death, but death is a necessary part of existence.
It is. It's one of those, like, at the end of the day, the final mercy will always be granted by death.
I have to also mention that there's a penis in here. I don't know if you saw it.
There's the hang dang.
But there's a wang dang doodle in
there.
So it wouldn't be me if I didn't mention there was a penis.
But it is. It's one of those. It's one of those interesting things where it kind of brings up that, like, no matter what you do in life, the last angel of mercy will always be death.
Yes, and
because
for me, it's a paralyzing thought, because death is something that's very difficult to deal with and haunting, and it triggers my anxiety. And so even in reading this, though, like, it's in some level of comfort. Like, I don't know how to explain it exactly, but this was, like, one of the meatiest books I've read in a long time. One of, like, and it's not something that's super dialogue heavy or anything necessarily. Like, there's dialogue there, and there's quite a bit, but it's not, like, it's not wordy. Like, sometimes you'll read a comic that's got a shitload of dialogue, and you're like, oh, God, they just never fucking stop talking. But in this, it's like you're hanging on every word.
I feel, too, like this one is done in one of those ways. So, like, way words can be written can be intimidating.
Yes.
You see a lot of words in a box that can be intimidating. That can be daunting. But when you look at, like, how the words in this one are done, is like, yes, you do have thought bubbles and certain boxes, but then you have that thing, that, like, almost ethereal kind of, like, words in the wind kind of thing, where it's almost like poetry, song lyrics. Like, it's just like you hear that stuff, being said and not necessarily read.
It is. It starts beautifully, it ends beautifully. The artwork is gorgeous from start to finish. And David has a beautiful sort of afterword that he has in the book, talking about making comics and his inspirations, and I really I love that exists there. And then what is also wonderful about this is the back half of the graphic novel, which is a beautiful graphic novel. The pages are beautiful. Everything is wonderful about it. There's character studies with both David's words and the art as well.
I love it when
creators do this. I love when they talk about the characters and they kind of give you what they, that little glimpse into what they were thinking when they drew this, or what they were thinking when they created this character, or like just talking about the layouts. And there's some unused artwork, which is absolutely wonderful.
I love seeing that. It's like those people that love buying DVDs for the behind the scenes.
These are your special features.
Your special features. I love that.
God, I love that so much. Like, you have no idea how much that geeks me the fuck out, because I love the process. Yeah. I started doing Todd Files because I wanted
getting into the head of the creator and the artist and all that stuff, and being like, this is what I was thinking at this time, or I was in this place, so I kind of drew it like this or wrote it like that.
And then there's other artwork in the back that's from different artists, like Jeremy Mathis and Shannon Gretson, and let's see, just like beautiful kind of pinup work, and of course DNS, who is longtime collaborator with David, which these are just absolutely fucking amazing. His adversary is almost like predatory buzzard.
It reminds me a lot of the Jim Henson Skeksis.
Yes, it's very Skeksis-like, yes. Yeah.
Like, if you took a Skeksis and made a mask, like a Plague Doctor mask, out of a Skeksis head.
I will just also say that I really enjoy the artist and writer description in the back of the book. David M. Brown, writer, recluse. Dennis Coyle III lives in a stick hut. Spends most of his time studying the craft of storytelling and getting attacked by tiny dogs. So, what's the final word on this book? I couldn't possibly recommend it more.
I'm gonna go ahead and put, like, my asterisk on this. This is a book if you are open to more darker, macabre things, and you're okay with, like, a certain level of, like, that, on the outside skirts of things, definitely yours. If that's not your thing,
it's not necessarily.
This is going to be pretty jarring, both visually and story-wise, because this is not a, like, it's a very dark, both reading and visual-wise thing that, and like I said, aren't really sure if what you're seeing is a figment of the imagination, like the mind showing you your demons, or are you actually seeing the demons, kind of thing. And I know that's jarring for some people. So.
Yeah, I would say that, if you're a horror and fantasy genre fan, then
you'd love it.
Yes, you absolutely love it. If you love Neil Gaiman.
Dark fantasy. Not that, like, fucking happy fantasy.
If you love Neil Gaiman, if you love, Guillermo del Toro, if you love Mike Mignola, like that kind of work, if you were a Sandman fan, or like even Sandman Mystery Theater,
Vertigo,
any kind of Vertigo stuff, like this is definitely in your realm. And I don't know, like I really have never had a negative thing to say about anything that I've seen from David, because he really takes his time, and he really puts his all into everything, and that's a quality I admire. Like anybody can make a book, we've seen it, but it takes a talented person and a committed person to make a great book, and
to like, especially on a certain medium too. Like that's the thing, is like to make a great book with a very like touchy, area and stuff like that. It's a lot of like determination to be like, I'm going to make this book, even though the subject matter is can be very harsh. Can be very like unnerving. To be like, I'm still going to go down that road, and I'm going to make a good book with it.
It takes balls to do that. It really does. It takes balls to do that. Yeah. Because not a lot of people can really get a darker subject matter. Yeah. Not a lot of people understand how to handle that without it being just like, oh my god, it's so fucking dark, you want to kill yourself when you read it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, there's a level. There's a gray area in it where it's like, A, it's too dark, or, B, it's just trying to be dark, but it's not at all, and you've got to play within those lines, and I think it came out pretty well.
I agree. It's just there's a line to dance, and David knows how to dance it.
Does the tango?
Does the fucking tango up the Hershey Highway of awesomeness? Like, it really is great. All these, I want to say, like, all these books deserve praise today. Like, all of these books we talked about deserve praise. It takes a lot of talent and a lot of ambition and a lot of balls to get a book made. When I said anybody can make it, I don't mean that as an insult. Like, anybody can, if they've got the balls in the drive or whatever, can get a book made, or if they know the right people. But it takes special talent to get a good book made. There's not one of these books today that I wouldn't say are worth reading.
These are all just our opinions. I would definitely say check out all of them, or the ones that appeal to you, and see what you like about them.
God, check it out for yourself, because that's really the ultimate.
But that was just our opinion.
But that's just, as Dennis Miller used to always say, that's just my opinion. Of course, I could be wrong.
Fuck dicks in hell.
I wanted to talk quickly about Dirk's Kickstarter project right now.
It's sketchy. Now, we heard this Kickstarter's in some trouble, may not make it.
I don't know. Might not make it. I mean, just so low on funding.
And he's really struggling, man. He's like, out there just begging.
I mean, this guy is a fringe kind of talent. Not a lot of people have heard of this Dirk Manning before. He's not like, the camera horror, the Dark Knight camera horror of the century or anything like that.
Not at all.
Facebook Live, like, I swear, I think he owns stock in it. Him and Watson.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, I feel like those two motherfuckers have a subscription. Like,
so let this serve as our Kickstarter of the week. The Tales of Mystery Volume 4 Everything Burns Kickstarter hardcover. Of course, if you guys have listened to this show, you're most likely a Dirk fan already, but Demon Hunter Mr. Rhee faces his most horrific challenge yet when his arch nemesis returns to burn him and everything he loves to ash. Boner. The original goal is 13,000, which was quickly, within 3 hours, broken and shattered to bits. We've got 20 days to go, and we're sitting right now at 20,862. I believe we're in round 3 of stretch goals. Let me scroll down. I know you're very excited about the cover on this one, especially because it's Ben Templesmith art, which you and I both are huge fucking Ben Templesmith fans. And talk about a wonderful guy.
Oh, dude, he's so awesome, and his art is just. That's the other thing too. Like, I think of why I liked Shelter Division 2, because the artwork kind of has reminiscent.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. Let's talk about the stretch goals that have been unlocked just really quickly. The first stretch goal it is, of course, a Mr. Rhee sticker, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. Second stretch goal, get a Kickstarter exclusive Tales of Mr. Rhee Volume 4 book plate illustrated by Seth DeMoose, Anthony D. Lee, and signed by Dirk. Third stretch goal, double signed book plate, so that will be signed by Seth and Dirk. Mm-hmm. So those have all been unlocked. Now we're at the triple signed now, too. So Seth, Anthony, and Dirk will be signed on that one. And then triple signed book plate with a head sketch. So like now everybody that pledges to the certain amount gets the book plate with a head sketch illustration on the back by Seth DeMoose. Nice. So that's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Round 2 of stretch goals already unlocked.
This was the one we were really interested in.
I believe so, yes. Tales of Mr. Rhee digital comic called Mother by Dirk Manning, Mariana Pescata, and Alessandro de Fornace. I hope I didn't fuck all that up.
With a lot of that.
Mr. Rhee finally visits his deceased mother's grave for a chat. I am so fucking jazzed for that. Now, this is the one that is like, I would say like the ultimate jizz bringer for guys like us.
For us, yeah.
This is like every best friend you have in comics came together and had
they were like,
had a fucking party. But this is the Jovian Apex Prime crossover digital comic. This is written by Dirk Manning and Victor Dandridge with Mike Watson artwork. Worlds collide in a crossover comic for the ages when Dirk Manning's ultra hero Jovian meets Victor Dandridge's Apex Prime, who from Trouble with Love, which I fucking love. And a story written by Manning with Dandridge and illustrated by Mike Watson. Come on, like, if you're a fan like us, this is what you've been waiting for. Like, I've literally never been this excited about a digital comic, and there's one out there about us.
Yeah.
Like, I've never been this jazzed.
Yeah.
That's unlocked, so woo! But what was even more fucking exciting is the level where this becomes a print comic has been unlocked.
That's the one I'm excited about.
I can't understand
I need that in my
the
hands.
level of geekery. Like, now we're on round 3. We're getting close to the next one, which is a box of Mr. Rhee matches, which is really cool. And one of the levels you can get, those like Catholic style candles come with it. Black Mr. Rhee candles, which I that's the level that I chose.
I want the one with the t-shirt.
One of them also has a Ben Templesmith t-shirt, which is fucking amazing.
That's the one I'm getting.
If they hit the number 2 stretch goal on round 3, there's going to be an exclusive Ben Templesmith art print.
Yep, that's going to happen.
And then number 3, it will be signed. And then there's round 4 stretch goals. If we hit round 4 stretch goals, there's a Mr. Rhee and Friends swimsuit pinup.
I don't know about that one for me.
Kaylin Smith. I don't know who all is going to be invited in that, but that's going to be hilarious.
We're going to get Mercy Sparks and like...
Listen to this one, though. If they hit the last stretch goal currently on number 4, this is $27,235. I don't know why that number.
Yeah.
It's a very random number, Dirk. Kickstarter exclusive Tales of Mr. Rhee Demon Exorcism Kit. To celebrate being the highest grossing single volume graphic novel in Devil's Due history, so I guess that's the number that needs to pass for that.
Yeah.
We're giving you all a Kickstarter exclusive Tales of Mr. Rhee Demon Exorcism Kit, including Sage and a Spell of Protection, as well as some other notes of guidance from none other than Mr. Rhee. That's fucking awesome.
Can I just buy that by itself? Like, fuck you all, but I want that thing.
There's your t-shirt.
Yep,
sir,
I want that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm getting that t-shirt.
And there's my candles.
Yep, I'm getting that t-shirt. Yeah, baby.
So, if you haven't checked this out already, and you're a fan of Dirk, or you're a fan of horror comics in general, supernatural comics, I can't recommend it enough. Obviously, it's not hurting for money, but we want to get up that big-ass stretch goal and break that fucking record, baby.
I want that kit.
Because we break that record, we get that kit, and I want that so bad I can taste it.
Dave loves his supernatural stuff.
I can smell the sage already.
I need that,
We only need about $6,100 more dollars.
Yeah, whatever.
Give it up.
Give up the money. I'm going to be giving it up. Come on.
Make it rain.
Yeah. Make Daddy's dreams come true so he can get an exorcism kit.
I'm going to give a little teaser and say, speaking of Watson, since I was talking about him a minute ago, that Watson has given us the PDF of Hot Shot 9. We are sworn to secrecy and not allowed to talk about it, but I want to say that I've seen it, so suck my dick.
It exists and we have it, and you don't. Watson's probably going to Facebook Live and talk shit about us now. Like, hey, you motherfuckers weren't supposed to say shit. God damn it. Like,
Whatever.
But speaking of Devil is Due, though,
Yes.
Yeah. So I was at the local comic shop picking up comics, and I happened to see this new Devil's Due first comics. As number 1, it's called Lark's Killer. It's by Bill Willingham and Mark Dos Santos. 33-page story pages, which is pretty nice. It's a new series. Looks very interesting as far as, like, the artwork is... It has that mix of, like, adult and kid.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to read it and see, how it plays out. But there's that... The main character seems like a child, like a young adult in the modern, but somehow it's dealing with old kind of fantasy. Mm-hmm. So I'm intrigued to see where this goes and see.
It definitely looks like it's right up your street.
Yes,
I see some orcs and stuff on there. So
yeah, so I will probably at least be talking about it in the next couple shows somewhere down the line. I'm gonna read it. And
I'm proud of us because we've done well. We're sticking to our schedule.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we are. Yeah.
Not time necessarily, but definitely the day.
Why, are we over? Yeah.
No, I mean
because they say we're recording this at
obviously.
We had shit to do. Damn it.
Yeah, we were very tired.
Yeah. So yeah, I will read this. Todd will possibly read it, and
I'll probably read it.
We'll probably talk about it at least. It's Devil's Due, so we got to at least give it up to them.
Yeah, we got to give our support to our friends at Devil's Due.
As long as they give me a fucking exorcism kit, motherfuckers.
Give it up.
Yeah, give up the fucking exorcism kit.
But I want to say a huge thank you to all the creators who were nice enough to let their books be included on the show.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if we hurt your feelings. Well, not really.
I've got an ointment for it.
Yeah, I've got some butthurt ointment.
Yeah,
honestly, it comes from a place of love. If we didn't have something to say about it, we would just would not talked about it. So that should say something, I think. Yeah, because I've said this before, but we get sent hundreds of books, and we talk about 1/10 of them.
Yeah,
because we are discerning about what we talk about. So if we talked about it, that means we cared enough to talk about it.
It's just one of those, I don't see the point in just completely shitting on a book.
No, I don't either. Yeah. And we didn't. And, if I don't have something positive to say about it, we don't talk about it. Yeah. But we're hitting the hour and 15 mark, so I think it's chilling time.
Dance monkey.
Burp monkey.
Yeah,
I had steak.
Yeah.
If you like what you heard today on the Basement Fodder podcast, too. You can find us at our website, thebasementofdoom.wordpress.com, our network home of digitalnerdage.com. You can find us on Facebook under a myriad of things. Todd of Basement Fodder, Dave of Basement Fodder, the original Basement Babe, the Dead Mother of Doom, Basement Fodder podcast, the Todd Files, It Came From the Queue, and of course Titan Trap Customs if I ever get a chance to actually start working again. Yeah. You can find me under Todd Dave, and you can find Dave under Dave Basement of Doom. Yeah. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Basement Fodder, and you can find us on Spreaker, iTunes, and many other streaming services if you are so inclined.
Yeah.
So that's going to wrap it up for our Indie Comics Spectacular. As always, I'm Todd.
I'm Dave.
And until next time, the basement door is closed.
Later, bitches.